This is the Don't Hide the Scars podcast, presented by Pain, Parents and Addicts in Need. Welcome to Pain's Don't Hide the Scars podcast. I'm Jason LaChance, joined by the founder of Pain, Parents and Addicts in Need, Mr. Flindt Andersen. What's happening, Yellow Coyote?
Hello, Jason. How the hell are you today?
I'm good. For those not watching, Flindt has a hat on with a coyote. It's connected to a golf tournament, so I've never called him that before, ever in the time I've known.
Never. And we actually did pretty good at it, so I was pretty happy. I was pretty happy.
Yeah. How'd you all finish up?
Well, we finished second in our flight, which wasn't bad, but they only took the top members of the flight. So to play in the final, it's called the horse race, which is a final 4-hole just cluster. Okay, is what it is, and you got to go as fast as you can. It's a kick in the ass.
That's fun. Are these best ball tournaments or?
Yeah. They're you have to play your own ball, obviously, but yeah, they're best ball. So yeah, so I played good. I couldn't complain.
Right on. Sounds like fun. Why the weather still holds somewhat, huh?
It was cold and it was wet because we got all that rain, prior to it. And but we muddled through it. We got through it.
All right. Well, hey, we're going to dive into, we'll call us the hidden addict in the family, the early warning signs parents might be missing. I think it's important to shift back to this as, we focus that educational piece in and trying to help the family understand what they need to look out for. And usually what are some of the first cues or clues, because I know that we can be as a loved one in a place of denial oftentimes, and being that we love, if we're a parent loving our child, of course it can cloud some judgment there. So what are maybe some of the early warning signs that we should let people know?
Well, I would say first and foremost attire. That would sort of, along with the first, some of the smaller things to notice is what they're eating. Are they eating junk? A lot of junk food, a lot of sugar. That's a pretty big deal. As the addiction progresses, the weight loss tends to come in. Now, I'm not going to say everybody has a massive weight loss, but about 85% do. Yeah. So again, it's those three things. It's attire, it's weight loss, it's an appetite, and again, but the list goes on, right? Yeah. I mean, there's sleep patterns. What are they doing? Are they staying up at 2:00 and 3:00 and 4:00 in the morning? Right. Is that abnormal for them? Right. And it is, because our bodies are used to that sleep, especially as teenagers. We can sleep forever. But when you're up at 2, 3, 4 and staying awake and playing video games, and then the video games have an effect on our REM sleep. So they're getting kind of, if they're doing drugs and playing video games, man, they're getting a double dose of nonsense that's coming their way that they can't sleep.
New Perceptions North, the premier drug and alcohol treatment and recovery center in Central California. A full continuum of medically supervised top quality care with programs for detox and patient residential treatment with dual diagnosis, intensive outpatient treatment, sober living support groups, and more. New Perceptions North provides adult men and women with the highest caliber of professional health care, treating each client with compassion and respect, in a safe, comfortable environment to begin the process of recovery to proudly create and sustain a life without addiction. Call 559-978-1507 or visit newperceptionsnorth.com. I think it's, and we see it more so now, obviously, with the tech addiction, and it is a real thing. We're seeing it with young people being hooked to, overly tapped into their phones, their iPads, and everything else. So, that definitely is one of those warning signs and things that there has to be an effort around for sure. But What about, yeah, and I think in this day and age, it's hard because of technology to see who your kids might be conversing with as well.
That's another big one. I do believe that parents are slightly afraid to really afraid of taking charge, and especially of their phones and of their laptops, iPads, whatever they're using, because those things tell us a lot. I mean, when somebody passes away from an overdose, why do you think that DEA immediately asks for their phone?
Right.
Because DEA can go in there and they can take those things apart. They know who they called, when they called, who they talked to. They know if they bought anything on online. They know it all. So the phones don't lie. And as a parent, gosh, I'm so lucky I missed that part of it, to be honest with you, as a parent. Um, because kids, like we always say, kids are going to be inquisitive whether they're doing drugs or not. And so, I think a lot of parents are actually afraid of what they're going to see.
Mm,
I think a mom is afraid of seeing porn,
sure.
that their kids are watching, or possibly afraid of the kids' gambling habits. I think society really forgets that, because I'm just not saying this stuff to say it. We see it. The porn and gambling, what's the word I want to use here? Routines of some of these teens is incredible.
Yeah. It's become more
It's
prevalent.
they become a lot more prevalent because it's just so damn easy. It's so easy. Oh, I'm going to bet $5. I'm going to bet $10. Well, after a while, you're betting 25, you're betting 50, you're betting 100, and trust me, those gambling sites, they're going to get their money.
Hmm.
There's no two ways about it. And by the way, I think parents have to watch for their credit cards being gone, and checking their credit card receipts and monthly statements to see if there's anything taken out of that. Again, we go over the top a little bit in this
Sure.
because we see it so much. But a dad may forget. Hey, dad may have 5 or 6, 7 credit cards. Right? He gives a credit card to his kid, or gives the credit card to the child that's in college. You know, and and do they really look at their monthly statements? I'm going to assume that there are some that don't. And by the way, the kids know whether you do or not.
Sure.
So the porn sites, the massage parlors, those kinds of things, we have seen that take an enormous rise in one's drug addiction.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even we've seen a rise in the porn side of things, massage part type of things, when when the young person gets clean.
Right.
We've seen that. I mean, a lot. So it's not, this is nothing new under the sun. Parents may think it's new under the sun, but it certainly is not.
Yeah. Well, and I think along the lines of continuing around the tech side of it, I think it's the differ, you know, when I personally never did do this, but I do know the friends that had the shoulder tap, where it was the hey to the guy, if I give you a 40 spot, will you buy me $20 worth of beer? That doesn't have to happen anymore. It can happen all through that exchange on Snapchat, Instagram, all that. The person literally come, they cash out the person, they come drop the thing at the front door. I
Right.
think that's another nature of what the technology has done as far as with that curiosity and experimentation, and why there's probably a shift away from alcohol with younger people towards the other things.
Sure. I think the other side to this is, I mean, my gosh, look at TikTok. and I know a lot of this has to do with algorithms and that type of thing, but these phone companies, whatever you want to call them, they know what you watch. So they're going to add more and more to that algorithm that's going to come to your phone. But even watching TikTok as early as this morning, because I'm a TikTok guy, I watch it. A buddy of mine and I, we send it stuff to all every day, every morning. But again, it doesn't have to be straight out nudity
Yeah.
on TikTok because it's not, right? But the connotation, the dress, the style of dress, all that has an enormous sexual connotation to it.
Yeah.
So, you're a 15, 16, 17-year-old boy in particular sitting there. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, if the biggest thing we did when I was that age was sneak into the XXX movie theater down on the west side of town. And we did, or would hide in the trunk and to go into the X-rated drive-in theater.
Oh Lord.
In those days. Oh yeah. And we did it. We got in, man. Okay. We got, so again, it look, that's doing kid stuff. That's
Right.
being inquisitive. That's just being a kid, for God's sake. But in today's world, it's not innocent anymore.
Yeah.
There's nothing innocent about any of it.
Yeah. Yeah. The accessibility is just it's prevalent. Like you said, there were in your day and age and mine for sure, there had to be a good amount of effort put in.
Oh,
Uh, and now it's so many things for the sake of convenience have just become effortless and everything from the content that you can access, regardless of if it's legal for you to do so or not. In most states, all you got to do is just say yes.
yeah.
And they're like, okay, that's good. And then when it comes to substances, again, it had to be like the shoulder tap. You might have the person that gives you, the chewing out. I just had no desire to drink. I never did that when I was younger. Ironically, to have problems with alcohol later in life, but remembering the friends where it's like, yeah, the dude took my money and didn't come back, or said, yeah, go ahead and call the cop. Like we had all
Right.
of that potential stuff there, but the accessibility now just to simply get this stuff through your phone, the convenience, it's all there, the exchange of money and so on. It's definitely ramped up in different ways. But if we touch back on the some of the early warning signs, what about, in the social action interactions, probably a little bit more challenging now. I don't know how teenagers are hanging out anymore, getting together, how they observe that. I know for me, we were always having to go to somebody's house, but that seems to have shifted as well.
Well, I still think they go to somebody's house. I don't know if I want to call myself lucky. All right. But we've got friends and whatnot that still have a couple younger kids. And so a lot of times they'll have, these other kids come over to their house. But I'm not talking about 12 and 13-year-olds, I'm talking about 17, 18, and 19-year-olds that still aren't, I'm sorry. I think everybody thinks that once they're 18, they can just go drink and have a great old time,
Hmm.
and the reality is they're not legal yet.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I believe that parents oversee that and they excuse that. They don't care if their kid is 19, 20 and drinking,
Hmm.
as long as they're not driving. Well, come on, mom and dad. Of course they're driving. It's we see it all the time. Um, uh, so again, I just believe that there is this is a different time. And again, what we did way back when, it wasn't going to kill us.
Right.
It wasn't going to kill us. Even some of the quote real illegal drugs. I mean, we stayed away from most of that.
Hmm.
Until we got a little bit older. Then, of course, I hit it all. But
Yeah.
yeah. So again, I just believe that these kids, um, as parents, you got to keep an eye. And I know parents hate doing that.
Sure.
You know, they hate doing it, but it's a reality.
Yeah.
You better, or you're going to wind up planning for their funeral at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. The accessibility, I think that's the key takeaway at us. It's just too high. And don't treat anything as benign. There's nothing benign about alcohol, marijuana, especially now, the high THC content, be it if they're smoking it, vaping it, edibles, whatever other magical way that I'm unaware that people are getting it into their system, and let alone any of the opioids and amphetamines. Like there's nothing benign about any of this. And like to your point, yeah, it wasn't going to kill us. You know what was there? I do remember people in high school that did smoke marijuana, and by no means am I saying, oh, it was fine. These were 14 to 16 or to 18-year-olds. I remember people in junior high that had stated they did. But the those levels of THC are vastly different today. The
Yeah.
35 years later, goodness, boy, time's flown. And so just know that, be aware of that, have those conversations. I know that they're uncomfortable, but like to your point, the conversations at the funeral with people is going to be far more uncomfortable.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it is. I also think, with Thanksgiving just a, day and a half away, I really believe some of the real danger points come when their kids are coming home from college,
Yeah.
and they're getting together with their friends that went to college, and they're all coming back home for a little bit for the holidays. And parents are just kind of letting them go do their thing because they all think that they're adults, and by law they are. Um, but we know brain wise they're not, and so a lot of the holidays can really be I'll say it, a great time to watch, to see how your kid's acting.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen them in a while because they're away at college. Look, in some of the studies I've done over the years, I want to say this is 4 years ago. Back then, there was something like 7,000 college freshmen every year blew out of college their freshman year, dropped out of college their freshman year because of their addiction, their dependency, or their addiction. And so you have to tell yourself that didn't happen when they just went to Alabama. They went to, a local high school, spent the summer here, went to Alabama, and then all of a sudden turned into a full-blown drug addict to where they had to drop out. No, it takes a while for that to build up. So that means that the kid's been using and doing something in high school, yeah, prior to them leaving for college. But now, because it's finally caught up with them. So this is a good time of year for parents to keep that watchful eye, to see how their kid is acting. What's their attire look like? What does their weight look like? What's their skin color look like? Are they avoiding not looking at you when they're talking? Are they constantly on their phone, even if they're just sitting in the living room? And are they talking with somebody? Because we haven't talked about this in a while, but kids have their own special language on those phones when they're ordering drugs or ordering alcohol. The message that they're sending isn't something that you and I are going to pick up and read and go, "Hey, Bill, do you have any opiates? Hey, Bill, do you have any cocaine?" That's not what they're saying. It's like, "Hey, buddy, is Steve and Jim going to be home this weekend?" All right. Well, Steve and Jim is the sign for, is there going to be cocaine and ecstasy there this weekend?
Right.
But a parent's going to go, "Hey, honey, okay, well, Steve and Jim, I mean,
Yeah.
it's because sometimes as parents, I'm sorry, but we're idiots.
Mm.
We want to believe our kids, and we do. That's an honest to God feeling. We want to believe our kids,
Yeah.
But we all know that we can't believe them 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, continue to ask those greater questions, right?
Always ask. I mean, look, even though you're probably going to get lied to, right? Hey, did you do anything tonight? No, mom, I didn't do anything tonight. Well, probably they did, right? So if you really, as a parent, want to take that step forward, you would go ahead and drug test them, have that drug test in the house,
Hmm.
just and drug test them so you know. Look, none of this is easy.
Yeah.
Nobody said parenting is easy. Nobody said parenting is just going to be butterflies and roses until they grow up and get married, move out of the house. Hell, they're not even doing that anymore. Okay? I mean, they're staying home. They're not getting married, or to some same thing. It's different.
Yeah.
It's different. So again, you can't, as a parent, you can't be a weenie. All right. I mean, you gotta be tough here. You gotta be tough with love, right? But you also have to be tough sometimes where they know you mean business.
Yeah.
Because what do we always say? They may not like you very much right now, but the love's always going to be there.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
You bet.
Absolutely. Anything else you want to add, Mr. Andersen?
Just be careful. It's the holidays. It's people have a tendency to spike somebody's drink. You could be in a bar somewhere, especially a female, not knowing. So try to pay attention. In some of these places, if a female starts to feel a little goofy, tell your friend and get out of there. Okay. And if that friend is starting to go a little south, call the ambulance. Don't be afraid to call the ambulance.
Yes.
Nobody's going to arrest you. Nobody's going to put you in jail. Nobody's going to do those things. This society today, we want to save your life first.
Yes, sir.
We'll worry about the rest of it later. And most of the time, nothing even comes about it.
Yeah.
But we don't want to send an ambulance, and the ambulance personnel get there, and all of a sudden they get you to the hospital, and the hospital has to call the parent and say your child didn't make it.
Yeah.
That's pretty strong advice right there.
Yes, sir. Yeah, let's not only get through these holidays, but enjoy them. These are a beautiful time to connect with our loved ones, and one of the rare, beautiful gifts that we get in this lifetime. If you break it down, it's like, all right, this will be my 47th holiday season. How many more of those do I get? I don't know. So I'm going to enjoy the heck out of this one.
You bet. You bet. I mean, I'm thinking about that all the time now. So yeah. I hope everybody does enjoy their holidays because they are special, no question.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Well, thank you for listening to Pains Don't Hide the Scars. If this is your first time, hit that follow button on Apple Podcast or Spotify. And if you're watching here on the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. And if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, well, do so. Go to youtube.com/@painnonprofit and hit that subscribe button today. And please share this podcast with someone that you know needs to hear our message.